So I finally got myself an XFR, and yeah, you guys are probably wondering what happened to my previous X260. Well, I sold that this week, and in the last video that I actually did, I told you guys that hopefully the next video would have an XFR standing in the garage. I do miss the old car, I'm not gonna lie, but I think that this car is gonna take us on a new journey on the channel, and I'm hoping that you guys are gonna stick with me, and it's gonna be an interesting journey. I think the car is a bit of a hoopty. There are a few things wrong with it that need fixing, and I'll explain to you why. So like I said, the car's a bit of a hoopty. The reason for that is because there are several things wrong with the car. When I went to go and look at the car, well, when I drove the car, first of all, we drove about 280 kilometers to go and view the car. The car was in a different province to where we live, and right now with the lockdown restrictions that South Africa have, we weren't really allowed to ride across the border, but we did, and the police did stop us. But I gave them proof of you know, the fact that we were going to buy a car, and they allowed us through. So anyway, when I test drove the car, there was immediately a vibration. And we then went to a tire shop and we took all the wheels off the car, and every single wheel on this car is badly damaged, and I mean really, really badly damaged. So it kind of put me off, but I still thought to myself, you know what? The car actually is not in a bad state other than that. I also noticed that the shocks needed replacing at the rear. And there are a couple of other things wrong. This passenger seat rattles like crazy. There's a rattle in the driver's door. The center speaker of the Bowers & Wilkins system is rattling as well. But you know what? It was actually quite amazing, because while I was driving the car back, I eventually bought it. I knocked them down in the price. I got the car really, really cheap. And when I say really cheap, I mean really cheap. So when I left there, I kind of had this feeling of, wow, did I make a mistake getting rid of my X260? Because this car felt like, you know, with all the rattles and stuff, and the way it was driving with the vibration and the wheels that would, I mean, the one wheel was like an egg. It just felt like I was driving a really run-down car. And anyway, as I was driving, I mean, we had to drive another 280 kilometers to get back home. And as I was driving back, the car just suddenly came into its own. One by one, each one of the three rattles went away. The car became quiet, it became settled. And I found that doing 160 kilometers per hour, which is around 100 miles per hour, was the sweet spot to get rid of the really bad vibration. So we stuck to 100 miles per hour most of the way coming home. Luckily, the cops are more occupied with catching people who have corona and who are crossing the border than with catching people who are speeding. I think we saw one traffic cop sitting on the side of the road who was, you know, I don't know what he was actually doing, but his lights were flashing, and he didn't pull us over because we were speeding. We sped right past him. We did about 80 miles per hour past him, doing 140 kilometers per hour, but he didn't come after us. So, but I just found that it was kind of weird, because I felt like I was bonding with the car during that time that I was driving it back. By the time we got home, I felt that I had made the right decision, that this car is the car that was meant for me. And you know, it's weird, because in the last 3 months or 4 months I've been looking for an XFR. You know, last year I told you guys I was looking for a supercharged 3-litre. I did have a look at one earlier this year, and the guy took the car off the market. He didn't want to sell it anymore. So yeah, there are things wrong with this car, but I looked at so many other XFRs and I lost a silver one that I really liked, but it had high mileage as well, but it did have full service history. This car has a checkered service history, so there are other things that need to be done to the car. So the first thing I'm going to do is just register the car on my name, get it on my name, and then I think these rattles I can actually fix myself. I don't think that's the end of the world. The mechanical things, such as the shocks and the wheels, I'm just going to have that, you know, sorted out by somebody else. I don't have the equipment to take the shocks off this car, so I'm going to have that done somewhere else. And the wheels, I don't know if they can be saved because they're really badly damaged. And I'll see if I can try and get that on a future video when I actually change the wheels. But I'm trying to get a set of wheels from a scrapyard currently, but I don't think that they will be any good. If I can't do that, I have to try and repair these rims, which I doubt they can do, or I've got to buy new wheels. And I don't really want to... I've got a set of 18-inch wheels in the garage, brand new A-line wheels, but they're 18-inch, they're not 20-inch. And this car has 20-inch wheels. It's got 285s at the back. I mean, those are big, thick tires. And it's got 255s in the front. And I don't know if those wheels can actually take that. And I don't even know if I would be able to get the proper profile tire to fit those rims, because it will be a completely different profile. Front is 35 and the profile at the back is 30. And that's weird because you would think 35, even though the width is weird, but the tires at the back are lower in profile than the tires in the front. So they're going to be spinning a little faster than the front wheels, and I think that's because it is rear-wheel drive. The other thing is the car does need new tires. The tires are shot. So I'm looking at spending a hell of a lot of money in the next few weeks on the car. And I really don't mind, because let's get to the good points of this car right now. And that is that mechanically, this car's, I mean, engine-wise, drivetrain-wise, this car is 100% perfect. The engine purrs like a kitten. There's no supercharger rattles coming from the viscous coupler. There are no bearing noises coming from the supercharger. There are no leaks. There are no coolant leaks, no oil leaks. The transmission is not leaking. Everything is just perfect under there, and I'm happy with that, because that will just keep me going in the meantime until I can have all these other things fixed. But then I do have to have the service and maintenance of the car seen to, because the previous owner of the car lived on a farm in a different province, and her husband passed away in 2018. The car stood for a long time, and I think they didn't drive the car very often. And living on a farm, they obviously hit a lot of rocks and stuff with the wheels, and that's probably why the wheels are the way they are. And they used to drive the car to church every Sunday and then go back home, or maybe go to town. But take a guess how much mileage this car actually has on the clock. Now keep in mind, it's a 2011 model, the very first facelift model that came into South Africa, right? This guy placed an order before the car even got here. The car is 9 years old now, and it has 45,000 kilometers on the clock. That's 30,000 miles that this car has on the clock. And that is absolutely amazing. And it's the lowest mileage XFR I was able to find. Now, is it the oldest? No, I did find older ones. I found a 2010 model, a 2009 model, but they weren't the facelift models. And the prices were very good for them as well. I mean, they were pretty low. But I wanted a facelift model, even though all the buttons in this car are pretty sticky. And I think those of you who own one, a facelift model, know that these black buttons that they upgraded in the facelift car, they are very sticky, and they've got that sticky problem. And I'm going to have to try and see if I can get all that gel that the manufacturer put on these buttons off. So that's another thing. The steering wheel buttons as well, they're very sticky, and it's really not nice. The tactile feel of the entire car because of that is just not nice. So my old XF had the silver buttons, and if you have an old XF, just appreciate the fact that those silver buttons, they feel beautiful. They feel ergonomic, and they're nice to the touch, and they don't feel sticky. It's terrible touching something in your car that feels sticky, it feels dirty. So the car has low mileage, it's 9 years old, and what am I going to do with it? Well, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to get this car up to scratch because the bumper has a bit of paint missing there, and I'm going to have that fixed. While I do that, I'm also going to change the grille to a black grille, like I did on my previous XF. I already ordered the grille. I'm going to replace the mirror covers with carbon fiber mirror covers, and I'm going to put a carbon fiber spoiler on the back like I did with my previous XF. I just think that spoiler looks really, really mean, and I think the spoiler on this car just doesn't do the car enough justice. It's not aggressive enough. As for the front bumper, well, that's pretty aggressive, and the side skirts and everything, absolutely beautiful. So I do love that. What I also love about the car is that this is the only one that I was able to find with a cream interior. I have never seen another XF for sale with a beige or a white interior. They all have black interiors. One had a carbon fiber a trim package. This one has the dark wood package, which I like, and I think it looks very, very smart. But they all had a black interior, and this is the only car, XFR, that I was able to find with a beige interior, just like my old XF. Now I love the beige interior because it's got the beige Alcantara inside as well. The hood lining still looks brand new. Everything in the car looks brand new. The seats still look brand new because of the low mileage. There are a couple of things that I think are going to break on the car soon. The motor that you know, for the adjustable steering, I can feel is going to break soon, and that's not cheap to fix. And if any of you have watched Doug DeMuro's videos of when he owned a Range Rover and he had that Carfax warranty or CarMax warranty, they replaced the steering wheel motor twice on that thing, and it's weird because my old XF didn't have that issue, and it had way higher mileage, and by the time I sold it, it was 10 years old and it was still working fine. But this one makes a weird noise, and the steering lock as well makes a weird noise, and the two are actually not mutually exclusive. So the steering lock is part of the steering wheel height adjustable and rake adjustable motor. So I think that's going to go one of these days, and I don't know if I'll get a new one. I might replace it with one from a salvage yard. I don't think I'll be getting many new parts for this car, but when it comes to the suspension, like the shocks, the rear shocks that are worn, those I'm going to have to replace with brand new ones, and they aren't cheap. The other thing is the rims are also not cheap. So if I do have to buy new rims and I can't repair them and I can't get a good set somewhere else, I'm going to have to buy new rims, and they are very, very expensive. I'd like to keep the car as original as possible. So when it comes to rims, you want those supercharged rims. You want them to say supercharged on them. I think changing the mirrors and, you know, the mirror covers and the spoiler to carbon fiber is just going to add to the aesthetics of the car, and I don't think it's going to change the stock feel of the car. Those will be tasteful additions to the car. I will most likely put mud flaps on as well, and I think XFR with mud flaps will look kind of weird. It's probably going to look a little silly, but I have to do that because these cars, they go in on the sides, and because they go in like that, the wheels are sticking out on the side, and you've got the edge of the car going in, and it sprays mud and dirt all over the side of the car. So I think mud flaps are definitely something I'm going to do as well. So I've ordered a few things already for the car. I've ordered a dash cam for it, and unfortunately I can't fit one of those factory look dash cams to it because this car has intelligent high beam assist. So while I'm talking about the features of the car, let me just tell you everything that the car actually has. I mean, this thing is absolutely fully loaded. So we've got a sunroof, we've got the rear sunshade. This car actually has the radar cruise control. The radar cruise control is phenomenal. I mean, I set it actually at 180. My partner was driving in front of me with a Golf, and he was doing 160. So I just stayed behind him. I could actually set the distance of the radar cruise control. So he set his car to 160, and my car just stayed at 160 as well. So whatever speed he was doing, my car was just matching. So the XFR was just, you know, sitting there like a little kitty cat behind the Golf and waiting to pounce. So other than that, it has the Bowers & Wilkins system. It has the Dolby surround sound system. It's got the big subwoofer in the back like my previous Jag had, and my old XF. And I've got to be careful when I talk about my previous Jag, because I've now had two previous Jags, an X260 and an X250. And I think if you guys remember when I did that, I did a review of a comparison between the X250 and the X260, and one of my subscribers just recently watched that video, and he said, if you want luxury, get the X250. If it's technology you want, get the X260. And that is really what my video was all about. 20-minute video, and you could sum it up in one sentence. But I had to take you guys through all that, so, you know, so that everybody can understand that both cars are very good cars. But I just felt that for me, this car was the better car, the X250, because it is more luxurious. It's just something that you don't get in the new X260. It's, you know, kind of like an iPhone on wheels, but it's still a good car. The other thing is, I have to now look at maintenance. So what am I going to do next? So I'm going to fix all the things that are wrong. I'm going to fix all the rattles and squeaks, and that will probably be a few more videos that I'll be making that you guys are going to see. And then once I've sorted out the rattles and the squeaks, I'm also going to sort out the wheels ASAP, and the tires and the shocks. And once I've got that all done, I can then look at catching up on the maintenance that the car has missed, because it did miss a few services. And as I was trying to tell you guys earlier, the car stood, and at the beginning of this year they took the car in for a service for the first time in like 3 years, and the aircon wasn't working, and they found out that a rat had actually climbed up into the engine bay and gnawed all the aircon wires off. So that cost them a hell of a lot of money to fix, and I think, you know, they then realized, we need to get rid of this car, we need to sell it, because the old lady wasn't driving the car, it was too low for her. She needs like a pickup truck or something, because they live on a farm anyway, so they might as well do that. And so the car was just becoming a burden to them, and that's why they actually put it up for sale. So I was very lucky to find this car. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I just want to show you guys the car, and I'm going to show, and while I've been talking, I've been showing you guys some beauty shots of the car. And that's after I've washed it. While I'm doing this right now, I haven't yet washed the car, so I'm going to give it a wash now. It's pretty hot out here, so I'm just going to wet it down, wash it, and put it in the garage and dry it off. The paint does need a bit of a polish, and I will probably ceramic coat it as well. And I think once I've got all the important things done, like the wheels and the tires and the squeaks and rattles sorted out, I'm going to have the gearbox service done, because that hasn't been done yet. In fact, in its 8th service, which was at the beginning of this year, it had its 8th service. They were supposed to replace the spark plugs, which they didn't do. I'm just going to take the car to ZF, who actually opened servicing outlets here now, and they actually service these cars, the BMWs, Jags, Mercs, and even the Audis. I'm just going to take the car there and let them service it, and then once that's done, I'm going to take the car to the dealer, and then I can hopefully have the shocks replaced as well. With genuine shocks. I don't want to put pirate things in there. So it's a matter of just catching up on the maintenance, and then after that it's going to be a case of whatever goes wrong with the car while I'm owning it, I'll have to fix. And when its annual services are due, which is January next year again, it'll have to have its annual service, like the oil change and air filters and stuff. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing now in the immediate future. So if you guys want to see more of what's going to happen with this XFR, it's going to be a hell of a journey for me, and I think it's going to be a great journey for you guys to watch as I go through this whole process of owning this car. I'm a little bit trepidatious about owning it, but at the same time I'm excited. It's kind of like a dream come true for me, and as you guys know, I love Jags, and this is one Jag I especially adore. So stay with me, join the channel if you haven't yet, subscribe, click that notification bell, and go with me on this journey. It's going to be exciting, and I want to thank all of you for watching this video. Stay tuned for more. Cheers. Bye.